Welcome back to Smallholding Sundays. I do love a bit of alliteration. We're just about to feed the horses and the pigs, and we've left it a little bit later today because we wanted to talk through a couple of things that we've got going on with you guys and let you know what our thoughts are for the next few weeks. Good morning, mister. That's not yours, that one's yours. Last night's feed booking. We'll feed the pigs.
While we're down here, we'd just like to give a quick check of the area where the pigs are. We are on about extending this area, but a bit more of that in a minute. We've never had these large blocks before, and I don't know if they're better routers than the ones we've had before, but they seem to turn the land over a lot quicker than the others. I don't know if it's because the land's been weakened by the other ones that were on it last year, so it's easier to turn over, but they seem to turn it over a lot quicker. So we'll just go around and pick up everything, check on the house, because one thing they do is pull all the straw out the house. So we've put the house up there on purpose, like so it's more elevated. So we have had a lot of rain, which keeps it dry. So we need to refill the straw in there because they do seem to pull it out. And another thing that they do, people say the pigs, like the people think they're dirty animals, but what they do is they pick a specific corner or wherever, and then that's basically where they go to the toilet and do all the business. Everywhere else is pretty clean, so they do stick to the toilet. It seems to be in one spot. So yeah, so we just have a look around, pick up any big stones that they unearth, pick up any bits of plastic or any bits of glass or anything that's under the ground. But they seem to be thriving in here and doing really well. So I'll just take you over now and show you where we're on about extending it. First of all, I'd just like to apologise if you can't hear us properly over the wind. We're doing our best. We must invest in some microphones. So if anybody's got any ideas of the best ones to get for this type of video, then please drop us a comment in the section below. But we've just moved over here out of the wind a bit in the shade of these trees, just to talk about what we're going to do with the pigs. So like I said, we must invest in some microphones or something somewhere down the line. So I've just measured out. In the background there, you can see the pig fence past all the nettles and all the weeds and everything. So I've just measured out, it's 15, we're going to come 15 metres along and then about 10 metres up. So it gives them another 150 metres of rooting space, and that's more than enough for the next probably 4 months that they're going to be with us. So I don't know whether I'm going to get onto that today, because we have got another few projects on that we're going to go and show you about, and I'll just going to have to pick one and see what we can get done. As this weekend for me is only a one-day weekend, I might not get it done today. So if I don't get it done today, it'll definitely be on the cards for next weekend. They'll be more than happy in there for another week. We're just going to go down to where the shed area in the little woods there, where we keep our other our mixed breed of chickens. But we just thought I'd give you a look in our little paddock area of the progress of the grass. It's doing absolutely amazing. I might even grass the whole paddock. No, I won't. So as you can see just behind me, we've let it grow quite a lot just for wildlife and stuff like that, and I've been in with the lawnmower, I've just cut around the edges. Now if you can see in the background behind me is where we keep the chickens, behind all that Harris fencing. I have been opening the door because they don't get a lot of sun in there during the day because of all the leaves coming now on the trees. So I have been letting them out into the paddock, but they don't seem to want to stay in the paddock. They just want to seem to go up onto the car park and into the barn, and they just mess everywhere up, and we don't want them getting into the veg plot. So we're going to have to come up with a solution for that. So what we're thinking about doing is moving the shed into a different area. So we're going to take you over there now and show you what that's about.
So as Stephen said, we're heading over to the chickens, our hybrid chickens in the shed at the moment. These are just mixed breeds, mostly actually that we've bred ourselves over the years. They are very good egg layers. You will see in a moment once we get in there how dark and dingy it is compared to out here in the paddock. We have been letting these chickens sit on some of their own eggs. It's been a bit of a mixed bag of results because unfortunately they kind of take turns at sitting on them, so that means that the eggs aren't always sat on, so they're not always staying warm. So yesterday we came in and had a little look, and I think we're going to make a decision on the eggs that are in there now, because Stephen said a lot of the ones that were being sat on were actually just bad eggs. They weren't fertile.
So as you can see, stood in here, I don't know if it shows on camera, but how dark and dingy it is when all the leaves come on the trees. I mean, earlier on in the last month, in the early spring, it was getting a lot of sun in here, but obviously now the leaves have gone on the trees, they're getting pretty much nothing. So that's why we've opened the door and let them out in the paddock. So yesterday I came down and I got the hens off the eggs, and I checked the eggs and they were absolutely rotten. You could smell the rotten through the shell, and they were just sloshing about. So we've got rid of all them and we're going to start afresh. We did take a hen off the nest with her eggs that she was sitting on, and we put her in the stable out the way of all these. So we'll go show you her progress after we've been down here. So we're just going to go in and get the eggs that they haven't sat on, which they're starting to lay behind the door. And this is the shed that we're going to thinking about relocating. I mean, it's a big old shed, and we have relocated it once and it was absolutely fine. Bit of manpower to get it shifted, but it stayed together pretty well. It's pretty solid, so it should survive another move. And another reason, apart from like the dark and dinginess in here in the summer while we're moving the shed, is because it's on the lowest part of the land. And I don't know if you've seen in one of our videos back in the winter, it really flooded in here and the shed was under about half a foot of water. So that's no good for the going forward into the future. So we're going to have to either raise it up or put it on some higher land or move it somewhere better position than this. We haven't decided that yet, but it's on the cards to move it. Right, well, these are the ones that are laying behind the door. We didn't bring anything down to collect them because we didn't think it'd be this many, but like Tracy said, they're pretty prolific layers, and these ones haven't been sat on, so these are only maybe 2 to 5 days old, so they'll go into the pantry for our consumption. Right, we'll nip up to the barn and show you the progress on the other chick.
Just now we're to see the progress of the chicken in the barn that she's been laid on some eggs there, and this is what we wanted to show you on the way up. Where I'm stood here, we used to have an old turkey house, a duck house that Stephen made here. It was really good while it lasted, but there was a few things that we needed to change about it, and so we've taken that down, and Stephen suggested moving the shed, which is in the dip. You can probably see on the camera angle there how low down that is and why that might be prone to flooding in the unpredictable weather that is the British weather. We're thinking about putting the shed up here, which is on a much higher area. The problem we've got is the paddock that we want to open up to the animals, certainly to the chickens and the ducks. There is a consideration for the goats, but that's a different conversation. The chickens that are in the shed down here are so flighty, they can jump over anything. That the fences that we've got here are of no obstacle to them. That's why, as Stephen said, they're always just roaming around. We've got really big concerns this year about losing any of the new veg that we've just put in the plot to these chickens, because they will easily get in there and that will be absolutely devastating to us. So it's a fantastic idea to put the shed here, but the problem is, how are we going to keep the chickens in? Now, one thing that Stephen suggested is moving our heavier birds, the Rhode Island red birds that are going to be our meat birds moving forward, and keeping them in the paddock. It gives them all of the grass to roam around in, it gives them all of these bugs to eat, and also with them being heavier, they're less likely to be able to jump over or to be inclined to jump over the fences. So that's our thought at the moment. That would mean that the chickens that you can see in the background there need moving into the barn to utilise the area that the Rhode Island Reds are currently in. But we'll see. Let's go and check on the mama hen and see how she's doing.
Right, prime example of what we were talking about with the chickens. We've just come up to show you the hen who's in that stable, and these 3 of them in here now. One of them's just gone through where the goats are and escaped out that way, so there's just no keeping them in. I mean, these white ones, these leghorns, they're a nightmare. They'll get over anything, so really we need an 8-foot fence or an enclosed roofed area to keep them in. So we'll just go into this stable now and see this chicken. There was 2 hens that were laid on 2 clutches of eggs that we brought up and put in here. One of them abandoned her eggs and just walked off and wrecked the nest, so we just threw them eggs out and put her back in with the rest of the chickens. The other one just stayed sitting, she seemed like she was doing really well, and this is the result of what we got. This is the stable where we had the sheep, so obviously we don't need it at the moment. So this is where we just put her. She seems to be quite at home in here for now. She won't be staying in here forever. So she was sat on about 9 eggs and 3 of them hatched, and then she sat on the others for about another 3 days, and then you knew when she knew they were dud, and she just got up and she wrecked the nest, and now she's just concentrating all the time on these 3 chicks. So we've put food in for her, and we've put chick crumb in for the chicks. I think these are about a week old now and absolutely thriving. She doesn't like you getting too close. She'll soon tell you if you're getting too close, but she's looking after them great. On a night you come in, they're tucked under her wings. So these are just a mix of everything we've got. The dad actually is a leg on, but she was sat on olive eggs, blue eggs, normal brown eggs, white eggs. So God knows what these are going to turn out when they actually grow. But they're a lot different colours to the ones we've got in the garage there. Right, and finally on the animal front, we just come back into the garage now and show you these chicks. We've just filled up the food and the water. Like we said before, these are a mix of Welsumers. The stripy ones here are the Welsumers, and these blonde and tan coloured ones, they're the Rhode Island Reds. So these are also about a week old now. They're under the heat lamp, and they've just got a heat plate in the corner just in case this bulb goes. But I have raised it up already once, and every few days now I'll just keep raising it up more and more until we finally take it off. We did have an interesting week actually with these last week. We had a power cut at about 5 o'clock. We were out and we got a phone call off the neighbour telling us that the power had gone out. He knew we had chicks under the heat. So we quickly come back. Tracy got a text on her phone saying the power was going to be back on at 7:30. So that was 2.5 hours. We thought, right, they'll be fine. Then she got another text saying it won't be back on until 11:30. So went into a bit of a panic mode. So we got as many hot water bottles we could find and bottles, and we filled them all up with hot water, put them in, and then we did that about 11 o'clock before we went to bed to keep them warm. Then I woke up about 1:30, checked the bedside light, the power was still off. So we had to come back down, refill the hot water and everything. And it finally came back on, the house alarms were going off and everything about 2:30 in the morning. So fortunately, we only lost 1 chick. Now maybe that was because it was the weakest one or because it was of the power cut, we don't know. But we did only lose 1, which is a good thing, not ideal. But the rest of them, I think there's 39 in here now, and these are absolutely thriving. As well as putting the hot water bottles and everything in here for these, we did have the 3 that were in the house. They were in front of the Aga, but because you can't control the heat of the Aga really, and these, if it was too hot, they could move away and stuff like that. We didn't really want to put all of them in front of it. So we just put them 3 in. They survived, they thrived, they're in here now with these. Couldn't even tell you which ones they are, which is a good thing. So they're mixing well. So yeah, that's the update on all the animals. And all the checks done, all the water's done, all the food's filled. Now it's time to get on with some proper jobs. Well, one job we've been talking about for a while is putting a fence around this area. The ducks are just behind me, but it's just been a dumping ground for years of all trees that we've put out, or when we've had a tidy up, we just dump everything here. But seems I've only got 1 day. I think I'll get on with tidying all this up, and we, like I say, we've been on about putting a fence around it. 1, to keep the horses off, and 2, to give the ducks a bit more space. So I'm going to get all this tidied out with the help of Jack, hopefully, and then see how easy it is to put a fence up. I will if we come around this way. So the fence, it's only going to be a, I don't know, whatever that is, 4 foot high fence, along to the edging of the curbstones that are already here, and then coming up to the barn, which is over there. But I'm going to put a new gate in wide enough so I can get the ride-on lawnmower through with the trailer on, so we can get easy in and out of the paddock from this area. So I'll just get on with that.
My goodness me, can you see how breezy or windy it still is? Not even breezy. What a job to get done though. This needed doing before winter sets in for all of the reasons that Stephen mentioned. And I don't think this video does justice to quite how much stuff Stephen and Jack removed from down the side of the ducks that day.
Right, well, we've got it all cleared out, ready for the fence, but a few years ago we were talking about putting a fence in here and we ran into a problem. The problem is this. So I want to post in this corner, but I might have to get my pickaxe out and do a bit of digging. So God knows how I'm going to put a fence in here. We might have to just think of a different solution. We'll give it a go. But while I'm thinking about it, we've got the car loaded up with a load of rubbish. We're going to go to the tip, get some dinner before we get back onto it. Right, well, the problem we've found is that these curbstones, they've been concreted in all the way along, so we can't even get, I don't know, 3 inches down with the thing. So I've been to my neighbour and borrowed some heavy artillery, so we're going to get to work getting these posts in. Well, we've finally done it, got the posts in anyway. We've been on it now 5 hours, it's 6:20 now, and we've just got all the post concrete in. I couldn't have done it without Jack, because he's been on the jackhammer while I've been on the spit. But it's been an absolute nightmare. All these paving stones, they're all sat on a big bed of concrete. So in order to get the posts in, we've had to jackhammer all the concrete out from that spot to get the posts in. But we've managed to get it done. We just need one more post, which is just going to get screwed to the fence over there, and then we've just got one more post which is going to get screwed. I'm going to put another piece of wood behind the barn, and then I'm just going to screw another piece of wood into the barn, not into the floor, because that's got all the concrete base of the barn there. I've left a nice 4-foot gap there to make a gate for it, so I can drive the ride-on lawnmower through with the trailer on and everything. So that'll make life a whole lot easier in the future, where we've got the muck heap and everything. So yeah, a good job done. We'll call it a day for tonight, let all these set, and then we'll come round tomorrow after work and rail the whole thing off.
You probably will have guessed, if you've been here for a little while, that I was busy working in the garden while Stephen and Jack were taking care of their job. And you'll also know, if you watch the gardening videos, that we're often visited by different aircraft here on the Smallholding. This was the latest one that was a Chinook. It's the best shot I could get in the short time that I managed to get the camera out. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next week.